Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to let everyone filter in. And in the meantime, while everyone's getting ready for this amazing presentation, I would love it if you could find the chat box and introduce yourself. Let us know where you're calling in from. Let us know how many Nomadic Network events you've been to previously. And if you want to, if you have a website, let us know what it is, since that is going to be the theme of today. All right, welcome to the Nomadic Network presentation about the Nomadic Network. If you are new here, it was founded by Nomadic Matt back in 2019. We've hosted over 250 virtual events, which were born out of necessity in the height of COVID, but now as the tradition continues, we are back to hosting in-person events, which is super exciting if you have been to any of those. And we have a new website, which you probably signed up for this event on, thenomadicnetwork.com, and make sure you make a profile over there if you haven't already. And definitely follow us over on social media, on Instagram, on TikTok. You can register for virtual and in-person events. We have group trips now, which is really exciting. And you can even become a chapter leader in your area. A couple of reminders during this presentation. We love to see your faces. So if you want to have video on, we welcome it. It is exciting. Especially when you're presenting, it's so much better to look at people than blank screens, but whatever you feel comfortable with. Please stay muted for the duration of the presentation. And if you have any questions throughout, you can use the chat for that. I'm hosting and will be monitoring the chat. So Jordan's going to be giving her presentation. You can ask questions along the way. When you do have a question pop up, please, in all caps, write question first. So it's going to be really easy to pick out and I won't miss any of your awesome questions. And at the end, we will allow time for Q&A. Definitely follow our speakers. I'm going to put all of her information in the chat in just a second. It supports them because they are here out of the kindness of their own hearts, sharing their knowledge and wisdom with us. And we really appreciate it. So I'm so thankful for you guys being here, and let's enjoy this time together. And now I'm going to introduce Jordan. All right, Jordan, my computer is frozen, so I am going to just turn it over to you. And I tried my best. Jordan's amazing. She's going to give an awesome presentation, and she's going to give the most badass introduction of herself as well. So without further ado, here is the amazing Jordan Campbell.
Yes, thank you. And no worries. I do have an introduction slide in here. So I am assuming everyone can see my screen. Yes. Okay, perfect. So first, I just want to thank everybody here for attending. I want to thank Callie for hosting. I want to thank Nomadic Math for having me and the Nomadic Network. I appreciate all of you. And of course, I'm Jordan Campbell from @Global Debauchery, and I'm presenting here 25 ways to make your website or blog work smarter, not harder. All right, so when we're done here, you're going to know a little bit more about me, how to build a heavy-hitting homepage, y'all, features you should be incorporating to your website, features you should not be incorporating to your website, what you can do to keep people clicking on your site, and how to convert those clicks to cash. And how I've decided to break it down is I've decided to break it into 5 easy to understand sections with 5 easy to understand user experience pointers in each. User experience is UX. If you come across that, that's what it means. UI means user interface, just FYI. So I'm Jordan Campbell. I am a travel blogger and content creator. I'm actually a third culture kid who's based in DC now. I'm an offbeat flash packer who lives to help people travel deeper. I've been to 62 countries now, all 50 states, drink in hand, always. You've probably seen me quite a bit on the Nomadic Network. I've been a speaker at the Travel Adventure Show. I work on the Wonderful team. I'm the Wonderful DC chapter director. I'll be speaking at WITS Puerto Rico and the Society of American Travel Writers conference coming up. So if you guys aren't sick of me already, you're going to be, but I still love you guys either way. So Please follow me at Global Debauchery pretty much on every social media channel known to man. I am actually just starting my TikTok, so I don't have content yet. It's being created. So give me a follow now. I don't have anything on there, but you'll see something pop up sooner or later. Also, I'm going to provide a link at the end where you guys can subscribe to my newsletter. You'll get lots of travel inspo, fun tips. You'll actually even get a coupon or a promo code, I should say, for up to $100 off your next hotels.com stay. And I have a big announcement coming out, but we won't get to that until the end. Saving the best for last. So a lot of people know me in the sort of travel community as a creator, but a lot of people don't know that in my former life, I was actually an award-winning designer and creative director. I have over 20 years experience with major global clients, including MasterCard, Blue Cross, Penn State, University of Maryland. For many years, I oversaw creative teams and made my living working on multi-million-dollar website builds, rebrands, the whole deal. So I know how I have a lot of experience building websites top to bottom, and you'll hear me use, just for the context of this conversation, websites and blogs sort of interchangeably. These concepts apply to both, any of them. And just if you're curious, you can see my sort of portfolio at Jordan-Campbell.com. That's CAMPBELL. And I just put a disclaimer out there, like everyone's blogs and portfolios, it really, really needs to be updated. So this is a judgment-free zone. Okay, so we're going to start off with this saying. We're going to talk a little bit about what it means to design or to have a good design. So you cannot understand good design if you do not understand people. Design is made for people. And this goes from everything. You can design anything. It's how you read an ad. It's how you use your toothbrush. That's called industrial design. It's how you stay at a hostel or hotel, amenities, where things are located. That is interior design, not interior decorating, not to be confused. So all of this too applies to your website or your blog. So, and what you need to think of is what really annoys you when you go to a website or a blog, and then do not do that because you know it annoys you. So just because you think it's cute on your site or you kind of like the idea of having it, it's not a good enough reason. It's not a good enough. You need to stick with good design. So I would love to see some folks' favorite or least favorite, I should say, things that happen when they go to a website or a blog. And I can give a ton of examples, but I want to get everyone's mind sort of going in what it means to have good blog or website design. I can I'll go ahead and take a stab and say, pages taking forever to load, when you can't close ads out on mobile, too many pop-ups, yep. And when the page skips, how about that? When you're like scrolling through mobile and you're trying to click on something and all of a sudden the page skips. So these are all things that we're going to talk about today. I'm going to tell you how to not do them. All right. So a lot of folks know this, again, if you attended any of my prior talks with TNN here before. So there was a Google announcement way back in 2020. They took some time to roll it out, but it is a big deal, and it's becoming more and more of a big deal that they are now taking user experience or UX, and they are making it a ranking like search factor for your pages. So that's not to say that keyword SEO doesn't matter anymore. It absolutely does. But it is now a ranking factor. For many, many years, not just since 2020, but even before that, there were a lot of algorithm updates from Google that were geared specifically towards understanding user intent. And user intent is directly tied to user experience. So user intent is, what are people looking for? What are they trying to do? What are they trying to achieve? Now, you can consider user experience or your website design the vehicle by which they achieve that, right? So the easier it is for people to use your site, the easier it is to deliver on their intent, right? So everything is increasingly user-focused, and just a heads up too, it's incorporating new technologies, more and more emerging technologies. That's kind of why we don't really know where all this ChatGPT, AI stuff is going yet, but that's why you want to keep your eye on it and see what happens. It's also the same reason, for example, like when you're on Instagram and start using Reels and you got rewarded for using Reels, or using any of their new features, like creating your Reels in Instagram, right? And using their templates. It's the same thing. So Google's going to reward you for using new and emerging technologies as well. And basically what they do, they take your UX score plus traditional SEO factors, the ones that many of us have known for years, and that equals your overall page rank. And most importantly, in cases where pages have similar keyword relevance, UX is going to play a defining role in your SERP. So that's going to be the tiebreaker. So just keep that in mind moving forward. And also, I don't know if anyone's noticed this yet or not. I hate it, but I don't know if a lot of people love it. Google very recently, literally within the last couple of weeks, just moved to infinite scroll. So instead of pages, they just have the scroll and the scroll and the scroll forever. Just a heads up that second page is still pretty far down the scroll. And I'm seeking additional information, and maybe just a heads up for anybody, things to consider. Because Google's now infinite scroll, there's a question in my mind of, is there an updated way to indicate your SERP, your like ranking on a different page to clients for pitching and campaign results now? Because you no longer say it's on the second page, right? So how are we referring to that? Because maybe it sounds better to be like, oh, I'm ranked number 11. Just an idea, but I'm gonna keep a tab on that and just see how it goes. All right, so enough about all of that stuff. Like, let's get into the meat of this. Okay, so section number 1, remember 5 sections, 5 points in each section. So section number 1, your overall website designs. Now, I've seen some crazy websites out there, y'all, and we got to have talks. We got to talk about this, okay? That's all I'm going to say. So I'm going to give you 1 big don't and 4 absolute do's. Okay, your big don't. And what I'm going to do too is I'm going to show them to you, and then I'm going to go to the next slide and I'm going to tell you why. So I'm going to show them to you, define what it means, tell you why on the next slide. So number 1, do not select a design theme because you think it's different and it stands out. It's eye-catching. It's any of these things that over my, 25 years as a designer, I hear that really, people love to say. And I will tell you why. And this is a huge do not. That's probably my biggest one. Number 2, do incorporate intuitive site architecture. Now, what does that mean? So site architecture is basically like your site map, your organization, how your site is built, what's nested where in your menus. So that's what site architecture is. And you want to make that intuitive to users, right? They would know automatically landing on your page as a complete stranger to your page, where to go if they wanted to contact you, just an example, where to go if they wanted to find tips. Those things should be really intuitive. Number 3, select a mobile-friendly theme. And just FYI, I see a lot of people taking notes. So at the very end, I do have 1 slide that's all 25 tips that you can just screenshot. So number 3, do select a mobile-friendly theme. People talk about, so it's literally now, and a lot of it probably depends on your site, your audience. But for me personally, it's about 50-50 mobile desktop, how people view your material. Being mobile friendly really just means that your site, and they term it in a number of different ways. It's mobile friendly, it's a stackable theme, or it's blocks that can shift and stack for mobile. Also responsive. So it responds to different formats, whether that's your desktop, your iPad, different size phones. So that's what that means. Number 4, do have site-wide menu and search. This also goes for headers and footers. And it's basically site-wide. You want your menu and your search on every single page. You want that header and footer on every single page, site-wide, everywhere. Number 5, do optimize your graphics. I see a lot of people throwing up a graphic that they haven't optimized. This means that it's over a meg each. So that means that if you've got 20 images, you're going to have really long load times. It's going to take a long time, or you're going to get blurry images because of the way your content management system operates, and it's going to squeeze down your images. and all you're going to have like a weird looking images because your images are huge. So I'm going to talk more in detail about each of these. Why and why not? Okay, this is the whole do not pick a theme because you think it's different and stands out. So a lot of these, the reason I say this, it's just not a good enough reason. It's not a good enough reason to choose a theme. These different themes are often at the expense of user experience, which is one of Google's ranking criteria, right? So if something is over here, or if the menu is down here, or if it's, over here, and you think that that's fun and great, I can tell you, users won't like it. People coming to your site, they're not going to like it. All of us are used to finding the shopping cart in this corner, the menu over here, the contact here, right? Does that make sense? So picking something that's a little bit wacky is not going to work in your favor. And so it's going to be a lot of work for not a lot of delivery. And this goes back to certain things commonly appear in certain places on a website or app, and this makes your UX more intuitive. So that goes to incorporate intuitive site architecture. You can go to all different sites. You can see where people place things, whether it's their media kit, about them, how they organize it. Find a bunch of sites that you like and maybe arrange yours in a similar manner. Going back to a mobile-friendly theme, we all know reliance on mobile is only increasing. Also, site-wide menu and search, header and footer. It's super annoying, and I'm sure this has happened to a lot of people, when you lose your navigation on a site and you can't just simply and easily search for something that you're looking for. If you can't find that search bar, it's really annoying. You can have your header dock, for example. So if you have a big wide header, it just docks when you scroll down, but it's still there. Also, when it comes to your optimizing your graphics, that equals slow load times, which is poor UX. FYI, the average person only waits 3 seconds for a site to load. That's it. That's literally it. So you got to make sure that your graphics are on point. All right. Next section, your homepage. Is it working or is it just kind of working? I'm giving you guys 5 do's. Do all of this. Just work it, own it, all of the things. Do blast your brand, blast it everywhere. Like, my background photography, my sweatshirt, my PowerPoint. This is all brand. None of this is like by accident. It's all branded. Do it everywhere, anywhere you can. Number 7, do add a pop-up. And you can see here, I'm telling you guys, you see my little exclamation points? I'm coming back to this. Do add a pop-up. This has lots of caveats. So number 8, do define and prioritize your content. And we'll talk about why this is so important. Do place your CTA above the fold. What does this even mean? I know. So CTA is your call to action. So the number one thing that you want people to do when they go to your site, don't just let them sit there. Tell them to do something. Click here, register now, sign up today. Like those are all call to actions, action buttons. And above the fold, this is a really old term that actually is still relevant today. When you used to receive folded newspapers or pick up a folded newspaper, the headliners that you saw were above the fold. So this is now considered, when you go to a website, it's anything that appears within X number of pixels that you see basically when you pull up an average size window. That is above the fold. So if you've heard that term, that's what it means. And number 10, do flaunt your successes. Go nuts. Okay, and we're going to get into, all right, the whys. So here's the thing about blasting your brand everywhere. And here's an example of my page. You can actually see the photos like right behind me. So you want users to remember you, right? Like it's as simple as that. This is the best way to stand out. So take a template that works functionally well and make it like a spectacular brand. That's the best way to stand out, not like some weird funky template. Don't let the template do the brand work for you. And here was my caveat. One pop-up is helpful, right? It could be promoting an offering. It could be sign up for my email list. We've seen all of those. They're actually very effective. Too many pop-ups is really, really, really bad. And so you have to be really choosy about, just as an example, you might have your sign up for my email list, the GDPR pop-up, and an ad pop-up, right? So that's quite a bit of pop-up. So you need to figure out what's more important to you, people actually not being annoyed with you and your site and leaving, or how many pop-ups you want and how to strategically offer things. And here's another thing about defining and prioritizing. A lot of people want to show off a lot of everything. I've worked in the design industry and advertising industry for a long time. They want to pack as much content as is humanly possible into the tiniest space available. That's not effective. It is not effective communications. You want to define like 1, 2, 3, exactly what you want your users to see and do on your site. And you want to prioritize those. You can't show them everything all at once. You have to put it in order, and you have to strategically execute it on your blog or website. Whatever your number one is, put it above the fold. We talked about a call to action above the fold, right? Whatever your number one is needs to be noticeable as soon as people arrive at your site. And just an FYI as well, if you have a slider or a carousel, same thing. Users don't actually usually view sliders beyond the second or the third slide. So if it's taking a lot of bandwidth to run your slider, you may opt out of doing that. Or be sure that you only have 2 or 3 slides running through there. That's just a sort of a industry rule, if you will. And about flaunting your successes. I mean, do you want users, partners to know that you're an expert in your field or whatever your site is, whatever you're selling? Absolutely. You absolutely do. No one's going to do it for you. So make sure that you blast that loud and clear, basically saying, I am an expert. And you can see just sort of in the bottom right-hand corner here, I've got like some of the brands that I've worked with there, front and center. All right, number 3, site features. So these are site features we do want to incorporate. So it's important to note that sometimes less is more and sometimes more is more. You just need to be really deliberate, strategic, and thoughtful about what you're incorporating and how you're incorporating it. So 1 don't, 4 do's. Do not go bananas with cool, fun plugins. And I will tell you why. Well, that's the next slide. Just don't do it. And I'll get back to you. Do stay on top of keyword SEO. Just because I'm telling you all this stuff about UX and how it's tying into search rankings doesn't mean that we can all just like let keyword SEO go to the wayside. It is still the major factor. It is just that UX is becoming more and more important. Do incorporate socials. This seems like a no-brainer for a lot of people, but you'd be surprised when people are missing that header bar or that search, that they have no socials to either sort of let people know where to follow them or to share via social. Do add a mailing list sign up. I'll tell you why. And do consider accessibility. So a lot of folks might have heard the term accessibility, but just so I can sort of explain what it means further. So accessibility really means giving more users access to your content, right? So you might have users who are hard of hearing or deaf. You might have users who are blind or unable to see. So these are the actions that we can take on the back end on our site to offer them access to your site as well. It could also be different languages is a type of accessibility. Okay, so here are the why and the why nots. I told you about all these fun, crazy plugins. The one that I think of mainly for travel sites are the really intense. I've been here, click and move maps and plugins, right? A lot of people love those. They are pretty cool. I had one for a while, I'm not gonna lie, but a lot of these plugins are really heavy memory-wise. They bog down your load time and your site speed, and that actually drags your whole site down in rankings. So just be really intentional about which ones you decide to put up. Are they useful? How much do they matter? Like, weigh your options. Again, keyword SEO is still a massive ranking factor. With sharing your socials, let people know where to follow you. So have your socials all outlined in your header and in your footer. I will put it in both places. Also on every single page that you have, like every single article that you post or blog post that you post, there should be a way for them to share on their socials your page. So there's sort of 2 types of socials, right? There's you telling them where to find you on social, and there is them sharing your content on their socials. Definitely get that mailing list in check if you do not have one. So, and this has happened to a lot of people that I know personally, actually. If anything happens to your socials, you will still have an audience if you have that mailing list. I actually, honestly, within the last year, I've known 2 major bloggers, you guys know them, who have lost their Instagram and or Facebook accounts. And that is a big deal. We're talking years and years and years of work, hard work, right? But they both still had their mailing list, which is more personable and accessible to their main audience. A note too, when it comes to accessibility, it's another ranking factor for UX. So the better your accessibility, the more people that have access to your work, the easier your site is to use, right? Ranking factor. Number 4, keeping users clicking. This is when more is definitely more. You want all the clicks all day, right? So we're going to show you how. Tell you, I should say. 5 do's. Again, I go to more is more, but this is like go bananas-ish, right? So again, everything is very strategic, thoughtful. So you do want to add always 3 to 5 internal links per page. Internal links, just in case folks don't know, referring somebody to another post of yours, having a top performing articles in a sidebar. There's so many examples, really. You do want all of your, this drives me insane, you guys, some of y'all got to fix this. Open internal links on the same tab, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So this is what I'm talking about, is when you're opening internal links that are on your same site and you keep having a tab open and another tab open and another tab open and another tab open. You guys know what I mean. Do always give somewhere else to go on every page. So when a person is done reading your post, what then? What do you want them to do after that? Direct them, right? Do refer socials back to your site. Talk a little bit more about that. Do add sort of a, you might also like, right, to your posts. So, and here's why. I think they were all do's. Yeah, they were all do's. So it really should just be why, not why not. Adding internal links. So this is really good for SEO. It keeps people on your site. You're basically putting anchor links to yourself and showing your expertise, right? Just sort of continue. Sorry, my cat was tapping me. She wants to come up and hang out. So it's really good for SEO. It keeps people on your site. This is also the same reason why it's a huge no-no to open links to your own site in new tabs. So it drives people away. It basically moves them further and further and further away from where they originally were, instead of just being able to go back or forward, right? So the rule is, if it's on your site, open the tab or open the link in the same tab. If it's somebody else's, open a new tab so they don't lose your site. And it keeps people on your site. It helps with your bounce rates and your time on page, all of those things that people love to see on their websites and blogs. And we talked about this as well. So give them somewhere to go. They read your post or your page, then what? Just like hang out, close it out. So give them somewhere to go. So at the bottom of your post, put, you could also have you might also like down there, similar articles. Make sure they have like a next post, previous post. Give them somewhere to go. You can put things in your right side column, recommendations, things like that. The top third, yes, and this is very important. Oh, I put these in the wrong order. I apologize for that. Confused myself. All right, so I'm going to skip to the very bottom bullet here because it actually relates to that. So always refer your socials back to your site. So it's really, really easy. I do the same thing. I have to tell myself to stop, to get really distracted by social media, promoting, yada, yada, yada. It's hard to create engaging content. But remember, your socials really serve to funnel back to your site, unless you are purely an influencer. They should serve to always funnel back to your site. So don't forget to point it back. So maybe once every, couple of posts, you're saying like, hey, go read this website on my, go read this link on my website, go read this blog post. A good idea as well to increase your blog posts is that if you have a link in bio, create the link in bio on your own website. So create a new page, just put / link in bio. They have all these templates now that you can use on all different kinds of themes. So what you're doing, and then insert that link on your socials. What you're doing is you're still driving people over to your site and you're getting that traffic instead of letting Instagram or later or whatever you use for your link in bio, instead of letting them have the traffic, right? And this is where to add a you might also like or other call outs to your content. So just FYI, the top third of any given page are gold mines. If you do a collab with someone or a backlink collab, and you can manage to get like a keyworded link in their top third from a really good blogger, that's excellent. And it's going to give you more sort of SEO juice, as you put it. So all of your important information you want to put in the top third of your page. This is also where you want to put maybe you might also like. So if somebody likes this article, they can go over to this article. I tend to put, when I'm talking about itineraries, where to stay at the top. A lot of people don't love that because a lot of users on the user side keeps you scrolling down, but you have to go past the affiliate links. You have to scroll down the page and you spend more time on the page, right? So that's why sometimes this can be a good strategy. Don't put like 3 different blocks of where to stay in the beginning. That really will drive people away. And a heads up too, that if you have table of contents on your page and you have them open, keyword SEO actually reads the content in those like accordions. So if you leave them open, it will. I have mine closed. It's just a personal preference because I don't want too many things all crazy at the top. But just another pro tip. All right. And last, but certainly not least, convert clicks to cash, i.e. making it rain, all of those good things, what everybody ultimately really wants to be doing. So another big don't, 4 more do's. Do not, and I saw this, or I saw people commenting earlier, do not place ads everywhere. It will not increase your revenue. It will not. It just won't. We'll talk about that. Do create a user journey. So a user journey is where you are sort of naturally leading users or readers from point A to point B to point C. And this can go in a number of ways. It can go leading a client or a brand or a partner through your media kit and information about you. It can be leading someone to purchase a product through your site. It could be leading someone to read your material. So whatever that journey is that you're trying, like your number 1 objective or your second or third objective for the site, we talked about defining your priorities. Create a journey that's natural. Don't just leave people deserted somewhere. We'll talk a little bit more about that also. Do add affiliate links naturally. Do not overpack. Talk about that as well. Offer freebies. This is a big one. Offer freebies and do make use of testimonials. I know a lot of people hate those, but here's something that's going to blow your mind coming up. So do not use more ads. Users hate ads. They bog down your site speed. Too many, as we know, are excuse me my language, a pain in the ass on mobile. They're hard to close out. So people get really frustrated with your site and they just leave. So if you think that inserting a whole bunch of ads is going to get you more money, it's really just people are popping up for a second and they're gone. You're not actually retaining them. You're not getting more money out of it. What retains them and what gets more money out of your ad revenue is keeping them clicking and keeping them on your site, right? So this is where less is more. So be very careful about that. So, and we talked about creating a user journey. When offering a product, any product, purposefully lead people through information, which eventually lands on a specific action. So you could, for example, an easy example I could think of, maybe when somebody signs up for your newsletter, you have what we call a nurture sequence, an email nurture sequence, where you're nurturing the reader, the viewer, the person who signed up. And you're leading them through information. And maybe your last, your 3rd or 4th email in this series is, hey, buy my product. Here's a coupon to do this, something like that. Any of those things. So the thing about affiliate links, just going back to, adding affiliate links naturally. So too many can equal spam. So it can either equal cash for you or it can equal spam for you. You get to choose. Also, absolutely throw some honest non-affiliate links in there. And you have to look at it from the user's perspective or just a human consumer shopping perspective, right? Like, would you trust someone whose only recommendations were for things that you're going to get paid out for? Or are you going to trust someone who has real recommendations that they may or may not get paid out for? Like, probably, I mean, include some non-affiliate links in there, you guys. Freebies. This is a big one. And a lot of people don't realize this. Freebies have a really, really, really magical way of bringing users to the promised land, to your promised land. If it's a good freebie, they will want more. They will keep coming back for more. And if it's really good, they're going to tell their friends about it. So offer freebies, lots of them. Actually, there's two really good sites I can think of that use this as a huge business model. And it is really, one is Uber Suggest with Neil Patel. You guys know him. One of his models is giving away tons and tons and tons and tons of freebies to people who are like, how is this even profitable? But they have one major ask at the end of all of it, right? You get a limited amount of XYZ, and then you're so ingrained with it that you're like, I have to have it. And actually, I'm a Wonderful member. So Wonderful gives out a lot of freebies as well, oftentimes. And it's all really good business. It generates business. It does not take away from your business. So here's something that a lot of people don't know. So testimonials with photos of actual humans, right? Actual humans, not just like text that's like blah, 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 that scrolls really long or wide, hard to read. Actual faces have actually proven in marketing to be a psychologically effective marketing tactic. So whenever you go on sort of major sites, like especially like university sites or advertising all over the place, there's always a person. It's an actual person. It's not an ad. They're almost always actual people talking and giving testimonials. And even though I don't love them on my own site, like it's a really good tactic. The numbers show, the data shows, I should say. Okay, so does everyone feel like completely exhausted and overloaded right now? That's okay. A, it makes me happy if you are, because that means I've given you a lot of good information. But B, I'm putting the whole shebang right here to screenshot. I'll just give you guys a couple of minutes to do that. So screenshot, screenshot, screenshot. Okay, I think we're okay. All right. So, and just remember, after all of this, that bad design shouts at you. You always know when you land on a bad design, right? Like you're just like, oh, this is terrible. I want nothing to do with this. Nobody says anything about good design, right? Good design is the silent seller. That's where people are just going about their business and everything is working and everything is all good. It's almost like when you go on Yelp reviews, nobody says when they had a fantastic experience somewhere, they just talk about when they had a bad experience. So just remember, these little tactics can really help your site in the long run. And let's be friends. Definitely subscribe to my blog newsletter via pop-up or sidebar. I've actually also given Callie the link that she'll throw in chat where you can just subscribe and you will receive, and this is my big announcement. So I'm actually going to be launching a course, a couple of courses. We'll see how the first one goes. Can't get too excited, but just to tell you a little bit more about it. So the first course that I'm launching is all about blogs and websites. It's going to be a 5-part series, all about setting your site up, all about UX, all about site speed and images, how to optimize, all about accessibility, and doing deep dives into features. So instead of just having everything crammed into 45 minutes, half an hour, like right now, these are going to be broken out with major deep dives. You're also going to get a lot of PDF checklists that you'll be able to download, including website audits, blog post audits, UX checklists, lists of different features that you can implement, and a whole bunch of resources that you can refer to outside of me. Upon launch, the course is going to be $249 for all 5 parts. And I am offering anyone today who wants to sign up and be ready for the launch offering, I think 50 off. Yes, for $199 for my course. Sorry, it's really new myself. So I just did my pricing very recently. So definitely sign up, use that link. And while you're at it, you'll also get like this rebate that I have with hotels.com that gives you up to $100 off. And question time. I haven't even had a chance to look through the chat, you guys. I apologize, but there's definitely time for questions.
All right. I'm all over the questions for you. So I will
Okay.
ask them. And guys, if you have any questions, remember, write question first and then put your question and I will ask them to Jordan. So we already have some. Some came early on, so you touched on them a little bit, but I think it could be helpful to just recap a little and maybe give a little bit more background. Sure. So what are the pros and cons of using pop-ups for lead/email signups? This person said she hates them as a user, but they must work because they're so common.
Yeah, so the pros are they actually do work. If you just have one and you have it you're using restraint, they are effective. They're really effective for sign up for my email list. They're really effective for I have a new product, sign up to get $50 off my product. They're really effective for hear about a launch coming up. What you don't want to do is have, I honestly, I would say no more than 2 pop-ups. And a lot of that would be like an ad at the bottom, for example, and maybe a pop-up. Sort of one of the unfortunate things is now if you're, global, you have a GDR pop-up as well, or a lot of people choose to go that avenue for Europe, basically saying there's affiliate links here. You don't have to sign up for this if you don't want to, all of that stuff. So there also might be different ways I don't think there are yet, honestly, with GDPR. I was going to say there might be different ways. It's like all the stuff where you go to and it's like, accept cookies. That's your GDPR stuff. So I would just show restraint. And maybe, the strategy is to limit your ads actually upon pop-up. So you can allow yourself to have these things.
Awesome. All right, next question. How does Google calculate your UX score?
So I don't no one really knows what happens. It's sort of like Instagram, no one really knows what's happening behind in the vault there. I can tell you what good UX is. I can tell you what bad UX is. I couldn't tell you exactly what Google specifically is looking for. Does that make sense? So all of this stuff we went through today is how to avoid bad UX and implement good UX. So ultimately, any one of these is going to help you out, according to Google, supposedly. How much they're weighing it, I honestly couldn't say. And it's changing every day, honestly. It's also changing against your site. It's also changing against everyone else. So if you're improving your UX leaps and bounds, and somebody else who you were kind of competing with on keywords is just staying the same, I mean, that's a good way to overtake them outside of just keyword SEO.
Awesome. Okay, this isn't a question, but I wanted to share. Michelle said that she votes Jordan gets her own TV show.
Yes, well, I have my own course, and that's almost kind of the same. Thank you.
Since you mentioned your course again.
Tell Nat Geo and the Travel Channel. Just kidding. So my course is so my first one, I would like to do a 3-part series, but really the only one I've tapped into just yet, and I want to see how it does first before releasing the other 2. It's all about deep dives into blogs and websites. A 5-part series covering how to set your blog up, do's and don't do's, all about UX, site speed and images, approving that, where to go for all of that information, accessibility, and features. And you'll get a whole bunch of downloadable resources along with it. And of course, you'll get a freebie too. I was talking about that. So.
Perfect. Okay. What are the image sizes and aspect ratios that you recommend?
So that actually depends on your theme. If you go into your theme details, there's usually an info section, or if you go to the website that displays your theme, it's sometimes really hard to find. It will tell you the image sizes for each image section. So each image type that turns up, right? So for example, your header image, your hero image, or the ones in your sliders might be 1,000 pixels wide by however high. You might not have one of those. So your site will tell you. And you really want to, when you're saving them, the easiest way that I can think of to do this, you want to save out. There used to be a setting in Photoshop that was optimized for web. They don't have that anymore, but you can do a quick save or a quick export and will automatically bring your size down. So you want to size it appropriately. And then the new one too, big update, by the way, it's no longer JPEGs like Google loves. It's WebPs is the new format. So that's really annoying. But they're smaller file sizes and they're the most up-to-date file type that people are using. And it is taking hold. So it's not really like the old JPEG 2000s.
Excellent, valuable info. Thank you. Okay. Do you have suggestions for someone just starting out as to how they can flaunt successes if they don't have any?
So I'm a firm believer. So one of the courses that I'm thinking of doing is marketing and branding. Those are the other two coming up. I am a big believer in it's all about how you talk about things. Now, this isn't to like say that you should George Santos your resume or your media kit or anything like that. It is just saying that focus on the good. A really just an example with Instagram, instead of talking about how many followers you have, maybe talk about how many monthly impressions you get. So maybe talk about your blog impressions instead of your unique users visiting each month. There are ways that, you can focus on the things that you're doing really well. Maybe you have exceptional engagement, or maybe you have really exceptional traffic month over month. So if you're a new blogger, you can say, just an example, my traffic has increased by X percent over the last 6 months or over the last 3 months. These are all really good ways to sort of build up your successes and start flaunting them.
Great. Do you use or recommend a specific plugin to shrink images?
So I try to, because I try to stay away from too many plugins. I do try to size mine first, but I do have Smush installed for older images that I might have to go back through and do. So that's just one that I used. I did like Google a whole bunch and their positives and their negatives and what they do and they don't do. And Smush worked for me. You might be looking for different things for your theme and out of your site. So I would just give it a good Google and see what works.
Great. Is PR rank score still relevant?
Uh-oh, I think you cut out a little bit.
Oh, sorry. The next question was, is PR rank score still relevant?
PR?
PR.
PR rank score is still relevant. I think I'm going to need someone to define PR rank score for me. I don't know if that means it's not relevant or if I just don't even, if it's something that I should know about that I don't know.
All right. So if that was your question and you want to clarify in the comments or just directly to me, please do so. And we'll move on to the next one. What did you mean about the link in bio inserted in socials?
Oh, actually, sorry. I'm thinking the PR rank, the page rank score is still relevant. I think that may be the question. Yes, page rank scores are very much still relevant. It's what drives traffic to your site, just in case this is the right clarified answer. It drives traffic to your site. However, because Google's now infinite scroll, the way you talk about your page rank might look different. You might say you're ranked number 11th instead of being on page 2. I don't know. Like the Google Infinite Scroll is brand new, so I really don't know, industry wise, how that's going to sort of fan out, I guess. And the question was about link in bios in socials.
On socials.
So in Instagram and in TikTok, I think if you have over 1,000 followers, you're allowed one link, like one clickable link in your profile. And a lot of places now have taken to, like, if you have a social media scheduler, they've taken to saying, hey, you can create your free link in bio, which is that link that takes you to a page with buttons or articles that goes out to your site. So instead of using those, I'm trying to think, like Linktree is one of them. There's a whole bunch of different ones. A lot of people have them. But now there's all kinds of templates in WordPress that you can literally create your own link in bio and use that link. So people are actually clicking on your website and you're getting that traffic instead of offering it to somebody else. I hope that makes sense.
Awesome. What website building platform do you recommend for beginners?
I would go with WordPress. So I'm a WordPress user. I know a lot of people use Wix and Squarespace. Squarespace is, I'll give it props, it is known to be much more user-friendly than WordPress. However, I'm trying to think of there was a major reason why WordPress is ultimately better for SEO than Squarespace. And it might be, I can't remember. It's recommended by a lot of SEO expert folks that I know who are big into keywords, and I can't remember the exact rationale, but I've heard that widely WordPress is the one to go with. It's not as easy to learn as Squarespace, but like down the road, it's better for page ranks. And it's because of the way it operates, just so like it's the way it operates functionally.
Fantastic. What are some best practices on growing your email list?
Growing email lists. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can insert into your blog articles. You know, there's some people who have sign up for my email list at the bottom of every page. I always have mine in the sidebar. So if you close the pop out up, it's always in the sidebar. You can even, I mean, what you might want to do is put it as a button on your link in bio that is now on your website and direct people to say, hey, I have more information about this on this Instagram or TikTok post, sign up here, you know, via my link in bio button. So those are some good ways. Also doing things like this, presenting, giving people information, giving people freebies and saying, you know, if you sign up for this, you can get this freebie, and then keep communicating with them.
All right. As a new blogger, how do I collaborate with hotels or brands with only a few followers?
So I started out, and this is different for everybody, honestly. I can just tell you my experience. Some people get really lucky and get like crazy followers and traffic out the gates. Some people, it takes a little more time. I started out by first going to lots of conferences, networking. There's a lot of conferences that have basically like speed dating for brands. TBEX has it, Wits Wonderful has it. And actually, if anyone wants, I have a 15% off promo code for Wits. So it's in Puerto Rico in May. And let me put it in here. So you can get 15% off your Wits tickets with that promo code. Oh, wait. It's just Jordan 15. Sorry. But they have speed dating basically. So you can meet and mingle with brands. You can learn your pitch over, because you do it over and over and over again so fast. It becomes like second nature. I started pitching by asking for in kind. So just saying, hey, I'm going to be over here and, you know, I'll give you social coverage in exchange for if you let me stay at your hotel for a night. And you have to be realistic about what you're from a business perspective, nothing personal. You have to pitch a ton. You're going to get a whole bunch of no replies. You're going to get some rejections, and then you're going to get some yeses. And really all you need is one yes to get started, right? So I would say pitch, work on your pitch, refine it every time, and work on your offer too. You have to be realistic about what value you can offer brands from a business standpoint, right? So if you have 1,000 followers, it's unlikely that you're going to be able to land like a $700 a night luxury hotel stay, right? For one night. It's just not advertising wise. You're like probably unable to offer that value, like that monetary value back. So you have to be thoughtful about that. And two, maybe you could start out with food tours that are like $100, or write reviews of places you've stayed where you're not partnering and use them as an example of the work that you can do, right?
Fantastic. All right, we have two more questions and then we will wrap it up quickly. So time is finite. So when you're trying to build a website that actually makes money, what's a good ratio? Creating new, more content, or optimizing, making freebies, marketing, socials, the stuff that you've already made?
That's sort of like, yes, it's sort of the question all of us want to know the answer to is like, how do I manage my life? How do I manage my whole life? One of the big things about earning page ranking is keeping your blog active. I mean, ideally, like once or even twice a week, you want to post new posts. That's not terribly practical for most people. So I think you just have to line up your priorities. What you want to do, the way you want to do it. And to be honest, like for me personally, I've tried all kinds of things out that were like complete disasters. And I was like, no, that's not for me. Because, a lot of us have a whole bunch of different revenue streams. Like I did one of those, like get your trip free if you get like X number of people signed up. And I can tell you, like, having people come to you like 24 hours a day for 6 months before a trip, and then being like, all I get is like this $1,000 trip out of it, like was not like for me, it just wasn't worth it. But, I would just say prioritize and try new things too.
Last question. How long after a trip do you recommend posting on your blog about the trip?
I would say fairly immediately, because you might have information that's time relevant that you can offer to folks. You'll want to make sure that you are careful not to put anything too time relevant in there, just because like if you have a lot of posts about coronavirus, for example, they might not be relevant at all in another couple of years, or the information isn't up to date. So you're going to find yourself spending all your time updating instead of having relevant information. But that being said, particularly when you're working with brands, it's usually within 4 to 6 weeks that all of your content is live and posted. Well, at least that's how I do it. I know other people do it differently as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Jordan. That was so valuable and so informative, guys. I put all of her contact info back in the chat, so be sure to follow her. And I'm going to just share a few Nomadic Network updates before we go. Sharing my screen. No. Okay, so we have some upcoming events online, just like these ones. So starting next Tuesday, the power of networking in the travel industry, becoming an English teaching assistant in Spain, and ways to save on booking flights. We also have some upcoming in-person events if you're in Monterey Bay or San Diego or Boston. We have group tours coming up. So there's some amazing destinations. So you can check those, the nomadicnetwork.com/tours. And also we have a monthly book club. And so the next meeting is on April 5th with author Rolf Potts. He'll be there. He wrote The Vagabond's Way. And if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. And it's cool to actually be able to chat with the author about their books. So join the Nomadic Network. We're so happy you came here. We're so thankful for our speakers. We really appreciate them doing this out of the kindness of their hearts, providing such value. And we will catch you all at the next event. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, everyone.